Title: One Paycheck from the Street, The Life of a Single Mom. It all came down to this one piece of paper. After all the double shifts at the diner, and the nights spent cleaning empty offices, after missing tucking my daughter in too many times to count, this is what I had to show for it. A final notice, the ink cold and unforgiving. We were one paycheck away from the street. Every choice, every sacrifice had led to this single, terrifying moment where the floor felt like it was about to give out, and all I could think about was the little girl sleeping in the next room. The one who believed her mom could fix anything. My name is Sarah, and my whole world is a 7-year-old girl named Lily. My life isn't a budget. It's a juggling act. It's a constant shuffle of rent, utilities, and groceries, an act that never quite works out without one of the balls dropping. Into next month's problems. We have something called the emergency fund, but it's always been more of a whisper than a real safety net. For months, it stayed below $400, a quiet, nagging reminder of how close to the edge we were living. And we're not alone in this. It's a harsh reality for so many, with recent data showing that about 28% of single mother families live in poverty. My days started before the sun came up and ended long after Lily was asleep. I'd pour coffee at the diner, forcing a smile for customers while my mind raced, trying to calculate if my tips would be enough to cover the electric bill. Then I'd rush to my second job. The only sound in the huge, dark office building was the hum of the vacuum, and the smell of disinfectant clung to my clothes like a shadow. The exhaustion was a heavy cloak I could never really take off. But every single night, I'd sneak into Lily's room. I was her shield, the only thing standing between her innocent world and our harsh one. But as I was learning, even shields can crack. The crack came on a Tuesday. It started with a small cough, then a wheeze that sent a spike of pure fear through my heart. Lily's asthma. The trip to the urgent care clinic was a blur of fluorescent lights and hushed, serious voices. She was going to be okay. That's all that mattered. But then I stood at the pharmacy counter, watching the bill for her new nebulizer and medication pop up on the screen. It was more than our entire emergency fund. I paid it without a second thought. You always do for your kid. I walked out into the cold night air, the plastic bag with her medicine feeling impossibly heavy. Just like that, our savings were gone. The rent, already late, now felt like an unclimbable mountain. My mind was just screaming. It was an elderly man, his hands trembling, dropped his small bag of groceries. An orange rolled into the street, and a bottle of pills skittered under a parked car. He just stood there, his shoulders slumped in utter defeat. Every instinct told me to keep walking, to retreat into my own storm. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the energy. But when I saw the look on his face, It was like looking in a mirror. It was the same despair I felt welling up inside me. So I stopped. I knelt, my own knees aching, and fished the pill bottle out from under the car. I helped him gather his things. He looked so frail and tired. On an impulse I still can't explain, I took the last $5 from my pocket, money I needed for gas, and bought him a hot coffee from the cart on the corner. "It's a rough day," I said, managing a small smile. "Stay warm." He just looked at me, his eyes. A week later, the eviction notice was taped to our door. This was it. The end of the line. I'd failed. I spent the day in a complete fog, just going through the motions at the diner, my smile feeling like a cheap plastic mask. As I was clearing a table, a familiar face looked up at me. It was the elderly man from the pharmacy. He introduced himself as Mr. Gable. He told me he used to run the city's largest community center before he retired. He said he hadn't been able to get my face out of his mind. "In my line of work," he said, his voice so gentle, "you learn to really see people. And I saw someone in more trouble than me who still chose to be kind." He explained that the center was hiring an administrative assistant, a full-time job with benefits, with hours that would let me be home to tuck my daughter in at night. He'd already called the director, his replacement, and told her my story. He couldn't promise me the job, he said, but he could promise me an interview. He told me that kindness deserved to be met with opportunity. For the first time in years, the hope I felt was more than just a whisper. It felt real. It felt possible. The journey of a single mother is so often a story of quiet struggles and unseen strength. There are millions of families out there fighting to stay afloat, just one emergency away from a crisis. Great organizations like the National Domestic Workers Alliance and local community action groups work to provide support and fight for better policies. A simple search for single mother support groups in your area can connect you with ways to either give help or get it. Because sometimes one small act of community is all it takes to change a life. I got the interview, and I got the job. Our life didn't magically become a fairy tale. I'm not rich, but I'm secure. That frantic, day-to-day calculation for survival has been replaced by a steady sense of peace. Now, when I watch Lily sleep, my heart isn't full of fear, but of gratitude. That day outside the pharmacy, with only $5 to my name, I thought I had nothing left to give. But I was wrong. It turns out, when you think you have nothing left, kindness is the one currency that never runs out. And sometimes, it's the only one that truly matters.